I'm sure all of you have knocked something over and possibly broke it as a child. Am I right? Well, that's one stereotypical item would have to be your mother's favorite pot. Well, why is that? Why does your mom have a favorite pot? Is it because it was in her family? Or where it came from? Or what it looks like? Well, today I'm here to inform you about why your mom loved that one piece of pottery. There are many aspects that go into pottery. Pottery has a deep history, a special making process, and various uses for the piece of art. According to an article published in 2013 by In the Science News by Bryce Brewer, pottery began in China 20,000 years ago. The remains that have been found in China are said to have been used by hunters for cooking purposes. Back in that time, people used pottery to cook the animals found in water for food. Until 2012, many people believed that the origin of pottery began in Japan about 2,300 years ago by the rice farmers. In another article published in 2013 by Ceramics Monthly, Goring receives a quote from a Harvard professor confirming the start of pottery was 20,000 years ago. The professor also believes that pottery was used like a cauldron and had water in it and was used for cooking purposes. Joey Brackner, the director of Alabama Center for Traditional Culture, wrote in his book called Alabama Folk Pottery that when Europeans came to America, they brought the art of pottery with them. Because Alabama had a major important port down in Mobile, Alabama was influenced by this Europeans and their European art. The Native Americans also used pottery. They would make the pottery out of the dirt and place it into a fire, but they wouldn't put a glaze on it like the Europeans did. It was more common to see men make pottery than women. Women whose husbands were potters and daughters of potters would actually sometimes make pottery, but most of the time you would find them in the household doing household chores. Pots were not the only item made in the early Alabama potters. Jugs, dishes, cups, creamers, and small sugar bowls are just a few examples of the things that they made with pottery. Back when pottery first came to Alabama, they would gather mud, grind some clay, and transform those balls and begin turning it and shaping it into a piece of art. They used kickstands where kicking was necessary for the table to spin and the potter to shape. After the potter was done, the piece of pottery was then placed into a fire to reduce shrinkage and lessen the risk of breakage. The piece was later sold and used in daily life. According to the article found in Pottery Making Illustrated, published in 2013 by Claire O'Connor, pottery isn't easy as everyone assumes. You have to figure out what you're going to make, whether it be big or small, and if it's big, you have to use a soft and dry clay. After you figure out what kind of clay or what kind of pot you're going to make, you then have to wedge the clay. Wedging is a process where you have to knead the clay to make sure all the air bubbles are out. When making the pottery, it's called throwing. While throwing, you have to have a straight back and your arms have to stay locked. Centering the clay on the spinning table is a very important thing. If it's not centered, then the piece of pottery can then be disformed. Another factor that comes into play is the speed of the spinning table while you make the pottery. If it's at a high speed, the pottery will be misshaped and you also could injure yourself. Medium to slow speeds are actually very crucial. Trimming away the excess clay at the end helps give the piece the finishing shape. Many potters enjoy talking or listening to music while they make pottery. They say it eases hard, difficult pottery pieces and it's more entertaining for them. After the piece is finished, it is then glued in a glaze and put into a furnace. There are many different types of finishing, and there are 4 types found in Alabama, according to Joey Brackner's Alabama Folk Pottery book. The first type of finishing is alkaline glazing. Alkaline finishing can be different colors, but usually a brown or green color. The second type of finishing is salt glaze. When the pottery is put into the fire, the potter then throws salt at the piece, and it gives this texture like an orange peel. The third type of finishing is an Albany slip glaze. The glaze originated in New York and is simply raw clay mixed with water to create a brown color. The last finishing found in Alabama is a white glaze. This glaze is known as Bristol glaze. It is used for a two-tone effect and can be mixed with colors to lighten the color. The uses of pottery are endless. Pottery can be used to hold liquids, milk, water, or syrup, or also be hold butter or flowers in a flower pot. In the day, pipes were also made with pieces of pottery for smoking. Many people actually use pottery drain pipes while draining because it held up better. Pottery has also been known to be used as gravestones. As pottery is made, it is either put into a gallery or later sold or entered into a competition. In Ceramic Monthly's article called Selling Pots, a potter named Sandy Simon who was interviewed. She owns a pottery gallery that she opened in 1994, and she wanted to have a place where people can come and look at pottery and that the potter could be recognized and the pieces of pottery could actually be bought. Sandy's gallery fulfills a need for many, a need for pieces to be bought from potters, and a need for pieces for those buying, whether it be in your home or in your business. Another article in Ceramic Monthly called Eyes on the Prize is an interview with potter Sophie Milling. Sophie explains pottery competitions as a way to draw people to certain cities or certain attractions, as well as giving attention to the artist. At competitions where many of the artists recognized for their works. The competitions allow the artists to have freedoms and try different styles with their pottery, and many artists benefit from doing competitions. In conclusion, a piece of pottery is not just a random pot you'll find around your house. A piece of pottery is a piece of art that began in 20,000 years ago. Pottery has a rich history in America, but especially in Alabama. The process of pottery is a detailed and messy process. Pots can be found in many different colors, patterns, and textures, and not only be used for potting plants, but also as containers, tableware, drain pipes, and grave markers. Next time you hear about a pottery gallery or competition, don't be afraid to check it out. You may find your new favorite piece of art, and in the future, your children will have to worry about not breaking it.